So 2019-2020 championship season is just about done, folks, but it all boils down to this. It is called the money game. That's right. The winner of this will be bathing in gold and silver and gems and all that kind of good stuff, whereas the loser will take on these boys once again. But who will come out on top? Well, I've actually run a monstrous simulation of 100 matches over on Football Manager between these two sides in the playoff final. Who comes out on top? Let's take a little look. Next! That's right, folks, back once again with another simulation video. Today we're taking a look at the championship player final between Brentford and Fulham, and we'll get to that in just 1 second. If you're new to the channel, smash the old subscribe button to keep you bang up to date with all things championship related, Blackburn Rovers related, Football Manager related. We got it all here, boys, under one roofski. Now, hopefully, behind me there should be screenshots of every one of the 100 championship playoff matches I've simulated. You can even catch some of the big score lines in there as it all flickers on by. I've ran the simulation and tried to combine all the results to see just what the likely scoreline would be at the end of it. And of course, to present you the results here and live. But before we get into that, I want a big shout out to the Patreons. That's right, supporting the channel the way that they do. All 12 of them, boys and girls. We're talking Dylan Goddard, who has recently arrived. Respect to you. And of course, the Chasing Pack, William Shepherd, LG Cow, Bianca Mulner, Daniel Meller, Cody Cahoe, Joachim Johansson, Tom Beresford, Tom Clark, John Spurn, Russell Frost, and Aztec, Marky B. Mark. So thank you all for supporting the channel the way that you do. But now we're going to jump into thick things and take a little look what I've been jabbering on about, and that is the simulations of Football Manager 2020, and see what they think is going to happen in this year's championship player final between Brentford and Fulham. The Battle of London, boys and girls. So let's take a look at the data. Alrighty then, boys and girls. Now, I did actually simulate the match over 100 times. In fact, 101 times. We'll tell you how it all broke down in a minute. But let's talk about the goals first and foremost. There was plenty of goals to get excited about. In total, 205 goals were scored in these simulations. Brentford actually bagged 112 of them, with Fulham actually scored 93. So maybe that'll give you a bit of an indication at where we're going. We'll take a look at the goal scorers in a second. But I want to tell you the highest amount of goals scored in any one particular game. For example, Brentford actually managed to bag 5 in an actual 5-0 demolition of Fulham in one of the simulations. Fulham, on the flip side, managed to smash 4 in a 4-0 demolition of their very own. So as it stands, the first bit of data I'm throwing your way, it's looking like it's a nailed-on Brentford one. Is that the case? Well, we'll take a little look in a second. So let's take a look at the goal scorers in reversal. This is the top 10. And we'll start with in 6th place. And I've already given you a little bit of an indication as to who is the goal scorers. Of course, the red represents Brentford and black will represent Fulham, of course, in this scenario. So who was the number 10th spot with 6 goals? He is a Brentford player. You want to have any guesses? It's not David Raya. Of course, it's not David Raya. It is, in fact, Josh Da Silva. Yeah, he actually goes under the radar a lot of the times over at Brentford. Of course, the BMW up top, the Mbembos, the Wendes, and of course Watkins up top usually get all the highlights and all the plaudits. But Josh Da Silva has got a goal in him, and he's got 6 in 101 games over here as we plough through the simulations. Joining him is another Brentford player. It is Emilio Marcondes. He got himself 8 in another player that doesn't seem to get any of the plaudits. Anyway, from a third eye point of view, of course, if you're a Brentford fan, you probably know about him thick and thin. But he managed to bag 8 goals within those 101 simulations. Who do you think has got top honours here? Of course, you'd think top honours, might be it is a Fulham player, and of course there's 3 reds. You might already know, but what order? What order, boys and girls? What order will they be? Next up, we do have a Fulham player, and he's got 9 goals in the 101 games. That's 1 every 10, and it is of course ex-Rover himself and the skipper for Fulham, and that is Tom Cairney. He got himself 9 goals in the older simulations as well. Joining him, Pontus Jansson's got 10. Of course, he is El Capitano for Brentford. Of course, 10. And you actually got a couple of OGs as well. Not in that category. We'll talk more about that in a bit. But 10 goals for Pontus as Brentford. It's 4th highest goal scorer, it looks like. Into number, what we got, 6th spot here. It is a Fulham player, and it is Ivan Cavallero. He got himself 12 goals in the old simulation process. So not too bad indeed. And he's also joined by another Fulham man who got himself 13 goals. It's Bobby Dakova-Reid. That's right, 13 goals for the campaign for Fulham as well. So And there's a bit of a divide between those two, and of course the top goal scorer, which is a Fulham player as well. I think we all know where that's going to go. But who in what order is the Brentford's 3 highest goal scorers? Well, in overall 4th spot is Said Benrahma, got himself 17 goals this campaign, and he's also joined by Ollie Watkins, who got himself 19, which does make Brian Mbembo the 2nd highest goal scorer, 27 goals in this simulation. And of course, Mitro Goal got himself 38. But does that make him King Supreme? Does it make Fulham top dogs? Well, let's take a look at where all those goals and all those kind of situations rank in amongst the others. For example, let's take a look at Brentford's goals. Cole De Silva, the brother of Jay De Silva, got himself a goal. Shannon Baptiste also got a goal. Hale de Chavalagu and Marcus Force also got 1 goal. There was 2 OGs from Fulham players, gave Brentford some kudos. Christian Norgard got himself 3, so did Rico Henry. Henrik Dalsgaard got 4 alongside Ethan Pinnock. Matthias Jensen got 5, and of course the rest we did see Josh De Silva and the chasing pack along there as well. As for Fulham, their goals, Kamara, Sessegnon, Joe Bryan, Tim Ream all got themselves 1 goal. There was 2 OGs from Brentford players that did boost. Fulham, Stefan Johansson got himself a couple, as did Alfie Mawson. Harrison Reed, ex-Rover as well, alongside Harriata and Niskins Cabano. Dennis Odoi all got themselves 3 goals throughout these simulations, with of course Tom Kearney and the chasing pack that we already saw at the top of the pile throughout the simulation. So yeah, that's a quick look at it. I think there was actually more goal scorers for Brentford than there was for Fulham. Now, of course, goals do win you games, but what else influences games is red cards, boys and girls. So let's take a look at the red mist, the players that got themselves sent off. There was a bunch of them. Joe Bryan, he got himself sent off once. Cabano as well. Christian Norgard, Johansson, and Mbembo all got themselves 1 card, red cards. Or Tom Kenny also got a red. Whereas Stefan Johansson, Harrison Reed, and Dennis Odoi all got themselves 2 red cards, as did Josh De Silva and Henrik Dalsgaard. Cavallero also got himself 2. But Harriata was the standout with 4 red cards in the simulations. I don't know how many that breaks that down if you want to do an average on that bad boy. Figure it out for yourself. I don't know. I haven't got the calculators out. But that's the situation with the red cards. Of course, did that have a huge effect in the games? Of course it did. Massive effect as well. So let's take a look at some numbers here. In 90 minutes, of course, with games ending after 90 minutes, there was 71 of them. And Brentford did come out on top 41 of the times. Whereas Fulham actually only won 30 of the time. So, you know what? That's not too bad. It's quite tight, but unfortunately it does go in favour of Brentford. But that's not the tail of the tape, folks. You don't just end it right there. You don't end it right there. What happens to the games that end after that? There's still a good, a considerable chunk of 30 of them, in fact. So let's take a look at those 30. In fact, Fulham actually are more likely to win the games if they go past 90 minutes. For example, in this regard, they won 17 of the 30 games that went to extra time, and of course penalties. Brentford winning 13 of them. So yeah, there you go. There's a bit of a silver lining for you there, Fulham. So if it goes past 90 minutes, it's in your hands, boys and girls. It's in your hands. However, what happens if the games end in extra time? Well, if the games end in extra time, it swings back in Brentford's favour, of course. The 11 games that ended in extra time, Brentford actually won 8 of them. Fulham actually only won just 3. That's right. And if you get your quick calculators out now, you'll figure it all out. Now, if the game does go to penalties, well, it swings right back into favour of Fulham quite handsomely as well. Of the 19 games that ended in penalties, 13 of them, that's more than half, go in favour of Fulham. 13 of them, Brentford just the 6 as well. So there you go. So that's the tail of the tape as it stands. So if you want to quickly do the math altogether, it looks like this. So at total 101 games, Fulham actually win 46 of them, Brentford winning 55 of them. So the computer, Football Manager, after 101 simulations, thinks Brentford are more likely to win with a goal scoring scenario just like this. Brentford 2, Fulham 1, Mbembo and Watkins on the score sheet, and Mitrovic as well. If you can see it, you can't really see it. I don't know why you can't see it. Let me just whack that bad boy forward. Can you see it now? There you go. So that's what the computer thinks will happen in this one. What do you guys think? Of course, I've already done my prediction over on a previous video, so make sure you check that out. And of course, look forward to the new season and all that kind of jazz. We'll be doing look at more simulations like this. I'm going to try and do the Champions League and the Europa League if I can get to it. It's a little bit harder because you have to restart, reboot, and you have to keep on going to try and get the right scenarios to figure out. And this was very tricky, of course. But all in the end, it looks like Brentford have it. It's theirs to lose. But what do I think? Check out the old video myself, my own predictions and all that kind of jazz. Of course, be sure to get your own predictions in that video. You might as well chuck it in this video as well. But yeah, Brentford, can you go to the Premier League for the first time of asking? Fulham, are you destined to return as well. Get your own thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Of course, give this video some love, smash the thumbs up, smash the subscribe if you're new, and of course, check out the description. Links to my other social media platforms are in there, Twitter, Facebook, and of course, if you want to go that extra mile, there is Patreon, boys and girls, so make sure you check that out. Until then, I'm out of here. See you later. Good luck at Wembley. Thanks again for watching. Please like, share, and most importantly, hit the subscribe button to keep you bang up to date. All things Blackburn Rovers related, Championship related, football related. We've got it all covered right under one roof. And while I still have you, please be sure to check out some of the old videos scattered along here. I hope.